Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Brokerpreneur podcast. I am Dr. Ben Spears, the ambassador of flow. I am here as always with the big guy himself, Matt Vi. How's it going, Matt?
Doing absolutely fantastic. Another day in paradise. Little hot out there, right? We're going to talk about the weather because we always apparently love talking about the weather.
Yeah, and I need to pack a suitcase.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, just to change clothes from walking from the car into the house, the humidity is something else, man.
Yeah, no joke. And then, just to make everyone else feel better, we did have a storm yesterday. And there were trees down all over, around my neighborhood. So it was
Internet was out here at the office. Couldn't get in.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, we couldn't get in. We were locked out.
Yep.
My neighbor, she's selling her house, and she's an agent, and everyone's garbage cans were blown into because it was garbage day. It was blown into the street. Her yard sign was in my front yard, and so I picked it up and I took it over there, and she's like, "Did you do that? Did you put my sign back?" She knew. She saw it outside. She's like, "I'm not going out there."
That's right.
And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I'm from Eastern Kentucky. We take care of our people."
Right.
So, Matt, what are we talking about today, man?
Yeah. So a little bit about leadership, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But we're gonna dig into something that I know people struggle with just a little bit. Holding on to letting go is what we'll call it.
Okay. Well, before we get into that, guys, wherever you're listening to this, hit that follow button. If you're watching, obviously hit that subscribe button. Go check out, our Brokerpreneur Fast Track sneak peek. It's on our homepage. Just hit that button. It says take a sneak peek. Brokerpreneurpodcast.com. So, Matt.
Yeah, man.
Letting go, right? It's like I'm not really good at the names, but Frozen, right? That song.
Right.
Let it go.
Right.
Sometimes you got to do that with
man, you got to do it with some agents sometimes.
Some people.
Yep.
How's that look?
So sometimes when you're recruiting, you're just in the middle of the conversation and you're like, oh, wait a minute. This person's got to go, right?
Yeah.
Other times, you're going through a transaction with somebody in your office. You're fixing something. Maybe two people in the office are doing a transaction together, and one person says, "Oh, well, this," and the other person says, "Oh, that." And there's no way that they would do that and everything. And you walk up to them, and they're like, "Yeah, that's how I do it." And you're like, "Whoa," right? Or sometimes it's just, something happens. You take a look around the office, and you're like, "Wait a minute, this isn't my office."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's good when when it's leading in the right direction, right?
Yeah, you know it.
This isn't what I had, but this is what I wanted. All these things are paying off. But sometimes that's not the way that it goes, right?
Yeah. If you dread going into the office, because as the broker owner or just the broker, because of the agents who are there,
absolutely,
man, that's a big telltale sign right there.
It's time to get the broom.
Yeah,
start sweeping, getting rid of some trash.
That's exactly right. Just prop the door open.
That's right.
All right, Matt. So, the first thing that people need to look at is and think about is like Australian, a look about,
right.
Walk about,
think about.
Yeah, think about. I'm gonna go take a think about. It's just the type of business that they actually have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're going to talk about this from a couple of different perspectives because it matters to do that. Okay, yep. But. So are you? And we're just going to keep it simple. Is it? Are you a listing agent, and you've got a bunch of buyers agents in the office, right? Yeah. Or are you a buyers agent type of person, and you got a bunch of listing agents in the office, and maybe that's why people aren't in the same place? Or you have a bunch of people that are working with investors, but you're selling luxury homes, right? Mm-hmm. It's not that those two things can't match, and it's not that you can't benefit from it, and it's not that the whole 1099 independent contractor agreement, right? I get that they can go do their own business. But remember, culture is a summation of all the little things we do.
Yes.
And so, commercial people or luxury people or rentals or whatever might just do some of the things in the office a little bit different. And whenever you take a look around the office and you see that it's not matching, if you're not okay with that, you have to decide whether you're not okay with it just because you don't want to change.
Yep.
Or are you not okay with it because something happened and that's not really you.
Yeah.
So take a look at your business first of all, okay? And so here's another way that happens, just to make sure that we've got our head wrapped around it.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, and we've talked about this in a couple of podcasts, man, I just need some experienced agents. I just need this. I just need that, right? And they want to get someone with production already. They want to get someone with listing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So I 100% get that, right? Get in there and get the production. Those people have a way of doing their transactions that comes with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times when we talk about, who you're hiring and having a very structured interview process and making sure you're hitting the highlights the way that you need to hit the highlights, part of the reason why you're doing that is making sure that you're going to be okay with them adapting to some of the things that you do as a company.
Yeah. Or you adapting to some of the things that they do, as a producer.
Absolutely, right. Yeah. So all of that's fantastic, right?
Yep.
So I came across something with one of our coaching clients that I thought was really cool, right? So they mentioned that when another agent, they were doing a transaction. It's a competing broker. When they were doing a transaction with another broker, the other broker sent over like an offer submission form with them. So when they said, oh, yeah, we're thinking about making an offer, they send over this offer submission form to them. It says what kind of contract they should be using. It says, here's the title company information. If you need a mortgage lender, here's the person. But it also went through address and legal description and just all those little things. It was a really cool sheet, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
And I thought it was really killer. Let's say I'm interviewing with somebody, and they say that, and I'm not doing that currently, right? And they say, oh, well, one of the things I do is this. You're like, well, holy cow, can I see a copy of that? That's fantastic. Would it help you out if somehow my office could prepare that for you so that was ready to go? Because I think my entire office needs to do that. That's you adapting to that change. That's you adapting to what that producer is saying, and it's allowing you to adjust what your business is, who your business is, to a way that's going to better impact everybody involved. Now, that person sitting there, I would hope they would be flattered by that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But that's not why you're doing it, right? You don't want to pick something from everybody that comes in and recruits and say, hey, we're going to change everything because of you. You don't want to do that. But if it's a great idea that fits the rest of the people in the office and they'll love it, man, that's something you should take off with. But that comes from you knowing what's going on in your business and not just giving everyone the pass and saying, oh, well, we're all in real estate. You do it your way, I'll do it my way.
Yeah, because easy come, easy go.
That's exactly
when
right.
when it comes with that. So, so we talked about the type of business that you have. Mm-hmm. Now and we say this at the end of every podcast, right? No matter what phase or stage of the business that you're in,
right?
That has a lot to do with it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So that means. Let's say that we is our office aging out of the business.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I say aging out of the business, please keep in mind, I don't mean their numeric age.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that age out of the business. There's a lot of people, as a matter of fact, that age out of the business. That what they do is they get into real estate, they learn a certain sector of that, and they want to do that going forward.
Yes.
Okay. So investing is a great example, right? Some people get in and they're like, oh, I don't know anything about investing. I don't feel confident doing. I don't whatever. And then they get a listing 2.5 years in, and the seller's just like, hey, look, I just got to get rid of this. It's got a great rental history. I don't want to do this anymore. And the listing agent, who was a friend of a friend referral, is like, oh, well, would you be okay if I bought it? And they're like, yeah, well, go ahead and buy it. That'd make things easy for us. So you buy it, and the next thing you know, you're like, man, I like this, right?
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden they start shifting their business, and if what you're doing as a company doesn't support that, and you're seeing that they're doing that business, but you're not paying attention to how you're helping them grow into that, then they're changing. They're going into a different stage of their business.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I love it if what happens is that as they grow, you're like, hey, this is how we can help with that. But not everybody's set up for that, nor does everybody want to do that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of brokers out there that are just like, man, I don't want anything to do with property management.
Yeah, that's not my game. Yeah,
that's right. I don't want anything to do with whatever it is, or web leads.
I used to do that, but I aged out of it.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's what we want, is we want to be able to take a look at, does that match?
Yes.
Okay. If it does not match, please, with all of this that we're talking about, please pay close enough attention to it so that you're in front of it.
Yes.
Okay. Don't let these things happen to you. That's when people get their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. That's when things fall apart. That's when somebody leaves. They like you a lot, but you're not set up to do property management, as an example. And they're trying to get through it, and they're struggling, and you're going, yeah, I'm going to help, and no, I can't do this. And you're like, man, I've got to take time and slow down and figure this out. And the next thing you know, they bump into somebody else that's got this all worked out.
Hey guys, this episode of the Brokerpreneur podcast is brought to you by the Speculo Group. The Speculo Group is the turnkey solution for agent and brokerage lead generation. With a focus on generating the highest quality leads from platforms like Google, YouTube, Facebook, and more, the Speculo Group is your one-stop shop to dominating your local market and beyond. Visit their website for more information at thespeculogroup.com. Yeah, absolutely. And
that
the
person's
desk is empty the next morning.
That's exactly right. And then your feelings are hurt, and they're hurt because they had to leave, or they're hurt because they're losing business because maybe you weren't set up for the same stage that they were set up for. So you just have to be super cognizant of all of this. You got to be super aware of it, but you have to be ahead of that. You have to be paying attention of how to stay ahead of those pieces. Okay.
Yep.
A great way to stay ahead of those pieces, guys. Gratuitous plug here.
Yeah.
Just come listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
talk about so much stuff that's just going to help you stay ahead of that. Go to the Brokerpreneur Lives, right? Or get
the Not So Secret Society every
exactly.
Friday. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just plug into some of the stuff that we do, man. We're just staying ahead of what's going on. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of that, you guys want to go to the Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Society. We do that every Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern time. It's absolutely free. Matt and I are there live talking with brokers from across the country.
Sometimes it's 2 people, and other times there's 15 people in there.
Yeah,
right? We just never know.
Yeah, you just
like a
never
box
know.
of chocolates.
Yeah, and we always learn something.
Yep.
Right. Everybody on the call, and
Yep.
so, what I would tell you, go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com and click on Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Society and register. It's absolutely free. We would love to see you there. So, Matt, we've talked about business, talked about type of business, talked about stage of business. Now we're actually looking at because this has a lot to do with it as well. Personal circumstances,
Right.
Like a person in one situation versus another situation has a totally different outlook of what do the agents look like in my office,
Right. And is it right? Because think about what we're talking about here, right? Is it time to let some people go?
Yep, exactly.
Right. Is it time to hire more of those same type of people?
Yeah.
What is it that we're trying to accomplish here? How can you do that if you're not in tune with your own personal circumstances?
Yeah.
Right. You can't.
You can't.
Right. And so what happens though is, man, we get busy. We
Yeah.
put our head down. We got 96 things going on. We're spinning all these plates, all that kind of stuff. And then we get lost in who and what we think our own circumstances are, what our own business is.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, everything around us kind of evolved, and we're like, man, we don't fit. I don't fit, right?
Yeah.
I don't fit in my own office.
Yeah.
This is not something that, this isn't rare.
Oh, for sure not.
This happens a lot.
I have seen this
Yeah.
firsthand as an agent, not as a broker. I've seen this firsthand inside of brokerages.
Yeah. And so you're just looking around and you're like, wait a minute, I'm sometimes, I made it sound like it was accidental just a second ago. It might not be accidental. It could be very intentional, right? You're working on the things that you need to be working on, right? You're paying attention to the things you need to. You're starting to be intentional with your time and recruiting, and you're coaching the way that you need to and all that kind of stuff. And you look around and you realize that some of the people in there, man, they just don't fit.
Yeah.
You become very aware of your circumstances, which helps you understand that their circumstances and yours don't align.
Yeah. Yeah, and just speaking from an agent standpoint, right? Because you guys may have, I don't know, lucky or unlucky to have an agent like me. Any office that I would go to, I tried to change the culture.
Right.
Right. It was like, man, I would just go in there. I was saying hello to, I tried to change it in a positive way, but it was like a mission. I started my morning, right, not making cold calls, maybe prospecting the way that I should. I started my morning going to everyone in the office and saying, "How you doing? I hope you have a great day," and that kind of thing. And that may not be the culture even that you want either. So be on the lookout for those ragtag bunch that looks like me that's saying no, like, man, let all these people prospect, leave them alone, quit going and trying to ask people how they're doing, but because you may have agents like that too,
absolutely,
or trying to change it in the wrong way,
that's because you better believe there's people walking around going, man, can you believe the fees in this place?
Everything's horrible,
everything's terrible.
Market,
by the way, I just bought into something else, and maybe you want to come try that, right? Okay.
Exactly.
So that happens all the time, and again, you got to be aware of your circumstances, right?
Exactly.
So that you know that's happening. So why are we talking about all this? Okay. It's to be super intentional with the direction of where you're heading with things, and probably the biggest thing that I'm just trying to make sure I tell everybody is, man, guys, it's okay. Yeah. If you lose those people that aren't a good fit for whatever reason, man, it's okay.
Yeah, if you have to get your feelings hurt, get your feelings hurt, but man, like, get over that in like 5 or 10 minutes, because who wants to be surrounded with a bunch of agents who don't want to be there? Right.
I'll get I'll be very very Tim Tool time on this. Okay.
Okay. Oh.
Yep. So man, you get so sweaty and so filthy and dirty cleaning the garage. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, there's just dust everywhere.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
coughing and sneezing half the time. You know, your throat's itchy because there's no telling what you're breathing in. You're right. And everything's a mess. There's dirt under your fingernails, which I absolutely hate. But man, when you step back and look at that garage and everything is in its place and where it needs to be, you're like, wow, I love this and I appreciate this. And for a long time, hopefully you don't have to do that again. Right.
Yeah.
And so as long as you maintain it, man, that garage will stay that way forever, right?
For sure.
But if you're not careful, what happens is you end up start collecting stuff again.
Yeah.
And there's trash that kind of gets put in there, and then all of a sudden, you know, something happened with whatever, and that's in the corner, and you were in a rush, so you took something out of the trunk and you put it over there. That's what you have to make sure doesn't happen in your brokerage.
Yeah.
Just every now and again, take a step back and look and go, okay, what trash needs to be taken out here? What can I do to organize this better? How can I better leverage this garage and this space so that the next time I clean it, I don't have to get as dirty? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. My wife and I call them flat spaces. If there's a flat space, usually there's some sort of little kids cup sitting, little kids cup sitting there, or 3 or 4 action figures that you know had an epic battle, but you know just didn't have the energy to make it back to the playroom.
Right, that's right. Another epic battle started somewhere else.
Yep, on yet another flat space.
Right.
So yeah, man, absolutely. So is there anything else that you want to add? You know, before we kind of wrap this up and put a bow on it. What you got?
So how does it? So how does all of this impact profitability?
Yeah, perfect.
So let's talk about that for just a second. I mean, I think anybody listening is going to be like, okay, you know, I can see that.
Yeah.
But let's be clear about this part. There are agents in your office that other agents will not join your company because those agents are there.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just the way that it is.
Absolutely.
Okay? There are agents in your office that don't want to join your office because they're not sure if they're a good fit. There's agents in your office that don't even know your office exists.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. What this does when you clean up like this, it allows you to look around and see the room for the things that you actually need in that space.
Yeah.
And so when you look around your office and you get rid of so-and-so, or so-and-so decides to go because they don't feel like they fit anymore, right? Yeah. Or you've decided, because this is also very important to keep in mind, I'm not saying go through your office right now and go, you're fired and you're fired and you're fired and you're fired and you're fired. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying take control of the circumstance. And a lot of those people will just slow down coming in and they just won't be there anymore. And then 1 or 2 of them you might have to fire.
Yeah.
If you talk to any manager that's been in the business any amount of time at all, and you say, did you ever have to fire your top producer or close to your top producer, and what happened after that, they will all tell you the same exact thing.
Yeah. What's that?
Shortly after they let them go, they started hiring other people, and there was room for growth for the right type of people in there. It's pruning a tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be afraid to prune the tree.
Yeah. And this is, maybe a different
Don't rush to
podcast
do
or
it
whatever.
if the limbs aren't dead. Let me say that.
Yeah, exactly. But you make it run into one of those circumstances, where you try and fire somebody and they just don't leave. You got to fire them 3 or 4 times.
It happens.
I know.
It happens. I don't know if I've ever told that story.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Society. That'll be a good story for Matt to share.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate it so much. Wherever you listen to this, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, any of those platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching this on YouTube, what's up?
What's up?
Hit that red subscribe button and that bell right beside of it. Get notified every time we drop a new episode. There's absolutely no better time than the present than to go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com. Check out all the cool things that we have to help your brokerage grow, no matter what phase or stage of the business that you're in.
Right,
Matt.
Yeah, man.
Man, I'm so grateful that we had you on the show today.
Well, I appreciate that.
and every one of the listeners are also grateful. So they don't just have to sit here and listen to my dad jokes. But I do dad jokes, and you bring the truth.
Bring the heat.
Right. You bring the sermon every single week for one reason and one reason alone. Tell them why that is.
Man, we just want to be part of their win.
You know it.